What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC 2023 video. Now today I have quite the discussion for you guys. Rather, it's more of a lecture. Your mother and I are very disappointed in you, in fact. So a lot of you guys are using the booster energy all wrong, and I want to talk about what the issue is with a lot of people who are just now getting into VGC, or maybe have been in VGC for a while but just aren't quite having Series 2 click with them yet. And you know, with Series 2 coming, we have the Paradox Pokemon and thus the booster energy and photosynthesis and Quark Drive. So we're going to talk about how these abilities work and why a lot of you guys are using the booster energy wrong. So if you guys enjoy this point in time, do me a favor, leave a like in the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications because I bring you daily competitive Pokemon content. And also be sure to check out the Patreon or my YouTube channel membership program, which, you know, you can click the join button below to actually support the channel and gain access to a very exclusive video, actually quite exclusive video at the top of each week on Sunday, where I team build around a specific Pokemon, and you basically get the info for the team I drop at the end of the week, like 7 days early. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. You know, all the support's very much appreciated, but a like and subscribe obviously does more than enough. So let's go ahead and get into this. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you think about booster energy. And okay, so what does the booster energy item do? Well, let's talk about that. Let's take a Pokemon that I think actually uses the booster energy quite well. This is Iron Jugulus. Iron Jugulus has the ability Quark Drive. Now, Quark Drive and photosynthesis work the exact same way. If Electric Terrain is set up, let's take the Electric Surge Pokemon, if I could actually spell right. The only Electric Surge Pokemon, Pincurchin. So if Pincurchin sets up Electric Surge, any Pokemon with Quark Drive has their highest stat boosted. That's my name. But it has their highest stat boosted. And the thing is, if it's if it's like an attacking or defensive stat, it's 1.3. So it's a life orb multiplier. If it's an attacking stat, that's the highest stat. But if it's a speed stat, it's 1.5. That means that it's basically a choice scarf. So offensively and defensively, life orb multiplier. Speed wise, choice scarf. Keep that in mind going forward. Same with Torkoal. If you guys are using, you know, Drought Torkoal next to any of the Pokemon with photosynthesis, then it does the same thing. Screamtail, for example, is a pretty decent photosynthesis user. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's how the ability works. So with that in mind, we have to talk about why certain Pokemon should almost never run the booster energy item, given how they function in VGC. And we're going to run through each and every relevant VGC Pokemon that has like these abilities, each Paradox Pokemon. Let me actually make sure I'm not missing out on any Paradox Pokemon. I'm trying to think. Fluttermane, Iron. Let me type in Iron really quick to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Iron Thorns isn't too relevant. Neither is Iron Treads. We have pretty much those covered. As far as past forms, I'm probably going to forget about something, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Okay, so let's start with Iron Hands. So Iron Hands at the beginning of the format would run the booster energy from time to time because it was just like really solid. But the issue is, Iron Hands really shouldn't run the booster energy item because of the diminishing returns. So if you were to take an Iron Hands and give it booster energy, which would activate its Quark Drive, it would boost its highest stat. Now this highest stat can be a few things. It has 108 defense. So like, let's say you max out the defense. Well, now your Iron Hands has a defense boost, which I suppose could be pretty useful with, like, I don't know, Drain Punch to get you some recovery. But the issue is you're wasting an item slot. Why would you build like a super defensive Iron Hands that has a 30% boost in defense when you could get a similar effect by giving it like an Assault Vest and just invest more heavily into your defense stat while getting a lot more out of your special defense and still getting a lot of value out of that? Or if you want to raise its attack stat and give it that Life Orb multiplier, well, at that point, give it the Life Orb, or even like a Magnet, or I don't know, Punching Glove? Does Punching Glove? That's 1.1. Whatever it is, Black Belt. Yeah, that's the fighting type one. Give it one of those. Because the issue is, if you're using the booster energy item, and this is something I discovered on my own. Well, not discovered on my own. I mean, like, a lot of people already knew this, but I had to figure it out on my own because I made a really stupid decision when team building one of my teams that I used to top cut, that Nino Pokebros tournament. I was using a booster energy Slitherwing. And the issue with booster energy Slitherwing is that it relies on like first impression, right? So what I was doing is I would lead off with the Slitherwing, find out, oh, I don't have a really good lead, I'm gonna get faked out, I'm not gonna be able to use my first impression, and then I switch out my Slitherwing, and then the booster energy is gone, unless the sun gets sets up, which I don't have a sun setter. So if you're gonna use it for the Life Orb boost, to be honest, use the Life Orb. Yeah, the Life Orb might be taken by another Pokemon, but if the Life Orb's taken, you get more consistent results just giving it even like a muscle band, to be honest, because Pokemon in VGC is like, VGC Pokemon's like a game where you have to switch a lot, right? And not being able to switch out of risk of losing your offensive potential is just such a shame. And it makes this item just really bad as an alternative to the Life Orb, when you could have a consistent item that boosts a particular type of move, like the Magnet or the Mystic Water, which we actually see Mystic Water used in a few Pokemon like that are water types. They don't need the Life Orb. I've seen Mystic Water Palafin run around because it just makes it hit that much harder, and it doesn't have to deal with the Life Orb recoil. Photosynthesis with the booster energy, yeah, it can be like an alternative to the Life Orb, but like I said, not being able to switch at risk of losing that is just super, super bad. But that's the gist of that. Obviously, you know, I mentioned the Assault Vest. Assault Vest is just the best item on Iron Hands right now because of this. Obviously, there are also like Citrus Berry Swords Dance or Citrus Berry Belly Drum sets that you could also use, but that's another reason not to use the booster energy. Why would you run booster energy when you could have recovery with leftovers or a Citrus Berry? So that's one reason. Fluttermane, while it could use the booster energy item, is in a similar boat. It doesn't really want to run booster energy because by running booster energy, a lot of its offensive potential is gone. We tend to see Fluttermane run either Focus Sash to get an extra turn out of it, or Choice Specs or a Life Orb to get just more offensive potential. I actually find Choice Specs to be a really effective set, especially next to one of the actually good Photosynthesis mons, or Photosynthesis booster energy mons. So yeah, basically Fluttermane just, it wants to be able to switch as well. It wants to be able to get that off. However, it is worth noting that booster energy is a fairly decent item if your opponent doesn't have anything faster, because that allows you to run the booster energy Icy Wind combo, which basically makes it faster than Regieleki. But newsflash, Iron Bundle can also run booster energy plus Icy Wind, and its Icy Wind is stronger. So here's the thing, Iron Bundle, while it also ran the booster energy item for a while, it stopped running it because, as it turns out, Focus Sash is far more consistent. Sorry, my computer just told me it's time to go to sleep. If we look at this Order Up Orlando tournament, the first place team has an Iron Bundle, and the reason it's running the Focus Sash isn't because the booster energy is taken up by an actually good booster energy Pokemon, which we'll get into that in a minute, but rather because Iron Bundle just would rather have the Focus Sash. Consider this situation. You're facing off against an opposing Fluttermane, and you have your Iron Bundle, and you guys are both running the booster energy. In a 1v1, and keep in mind, Pokemon's not usually a 1v1 in VGC, you know, this isn't a vacuum. In a 1v1, the Fluttermane will still beat you because Fluttermane has like really great special defense, and it's going to be able to go for a Moonblast into you, and your Focus Sash won't save you. Where, if you were playing and you had a Focus Sash and the Fluttermane had a booster energy, well, turn one, you can go for the Icy Wind, tank the Moonblast because of your Focus Sash, and then on the next turn, go for like a Hydro Pump or a Terra Water Hydro Pump and try to pick up the KO from that range. It makes games more consistent because you're running Protect, right? You can protect your Focus Sash and just keep that around. It just gives Iron Bundle that much more longevity. I already talked about my Slitherwing set and how I had the discovery that I should just really be running Life Orb, but I think now, let me actually look at a few other Pokemon real quick. Okay, we're getting into like the good booster energy Pokemon. So if you're running booster energy for any offensive or defensive purposes, don't. It is a complete waste of an item. However, there are some exceptions. I will say that Roaring Moon is actually a Pokemon that wants to run booster energy like 90% of the time for two reasons. Roaring Moon can lower its attack stat and get a speed boost off of the booster energy and thus make your Tailwind more consistent. But more important than that, if you just run Jolly max speed, max attack, you have 191 attack and 188 speed. This means that you boost your attack with the booster energy item. Now, I just said that you shouldn't do that, but the exception comes from the fact that Roaring Moon likes to run the move Acrobatics, a move that's 55 base power, but it doubles if you don't have a held item. The booster energy effectively gets consumed immediately, getting rid of that held item and giving you access to 110 base power Acrobatics with still the Life Orb boost because you activated the Photosynthesis with the booster energy. You also tend to run Terra Flying, which allows you to get KOs. This gives Roaring Moon like really immediate damage output and a lot of pressure, especially if your opponent doesn't have an Intimidate Pokemon or just is like really suffering on that lead. If they let off terribly, you can basically win a game turn one this way. So that's an example of like a Pokemon that could use booster energy as a Life Orb alternative because it wants to. It wants to make sure it has access to that super powerful move. Technically, Slitherwing can also do this with like Terra Flying, booster energy, Acrobatics. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it also gets Acrobatics, right? Yeah. It can also do that, but the issue is you don't really want to do that because you kind of want like the coverage from Flame Charge and stuff. It's a long story. I'm like one of the few Slitherwing players, so I understand this, but trust me, that's not a good set. All right, so now that we talked about good booster energy offensive Pokemon, Iron Moth is sort of an anomaly. Iron Moth, if you were to run max speed, max special attack, timid nature, you would still get the same effect as with Roaring Moon, where you get a special attack boost. But the thing is, the best set right now for Iron Moth is actually with a lower special attack stat than its speed stat to give it that booster energy boost. So what this does is it gives Iron Moth the flexibility of like a Focus Sash set, even though it doesn't have like the ability to survive a hit, with the speed of a Choice Scarf. When you combo this with a fast special attacker that underspeeds your Iron Moth, which most things underspeed your Iron Moth when you have +1 speed, you're outspeeding basically everything, it makes it so you can combo Acid Spray into like Choice Specs Fluttermane Moonblast. And this is a thing that got second place at one of the Nino Pokebros tours. I believe Alex Underhill ran it. It was Choice Specs Fluttermane next to Iron Moth with Acid Spray. It was very reliable. Iron Moth itself is just so much more threatening when it has that speed boost. The special attack boost, honestly, I could take it or leave it. It gets outsped by so many Pokemon that it doesn't really matter. And it has a really bad physical bulk. So Roaring Moon can just one-shot it a lot of the time. Iron Bundle can one-shot it with like Terra Water Hydro Pump. Fluttermane could care less if it has that special attack boost because it can go for like Mystical Fire or Icy Wind and just make it so another Pokemon picks it off. And even Iron Hands with the Assault Vest doesn't really mind taking the Life Orb boosted damage from the Booster Energy special attack set. That speed stat is what really makes it terrifying because of the combos with Acid Spray. Now I have two more examples. I have Iron Jugulus and I have Screamtail, and I think I already basically covered Iron Jugulus. Now Screamtail is a Pokemon that I will say will typically not run the Booster Energy because you can just run like Light Clay, right? Light Clay is actually a phenomenal item for Screamtail. It can run dual screens. You could also run Leftovers, right? But a set that Neil and I have been playing around with, Neil VGC, by the way, friend of the channel, phenomenal player. This is a set that we've been playing around with. It has 111 base speed, meaning that if you just go with like a modest nature and max out its special attack, or almost max out its special attack, but like give it a decent amount of speed and max out its HP, you can actually get a speed boost and you're outspeeding not the same things as Iron Moth because Iron Moth maxes out at speed, but like it hits a similar speed tier where you're like basically one of the fastest Choice Scarf Pokemon in the game. But you can take advantage of that with Thunder Wave, so you become a speed control monster while also having really reliable screens and just nice damage with Dazzling Gleam if you really want to. Or if you want to run like Psychic Fangs and like a max attack set, you could also do that, but I think Dazzling Gleam is a little bit better. Or even Flamethrower is like quite good. But yeah, that is like an example of a way that you would use the Booster Energy. And finally, the last Pokemon that I think Booster Energy is the best item is Iron Jugulus. It's not special attack. I really think you have to run the speed on this guy. Yes, the special attack set will give you a really strong Hurricane, but once again, just run the Life Orb in that set. Or run the Choice Specs. Choice Specs and Life Orb Iron Jugulus are both not that bad. I have to like eat my words on Iron Jugulus. I used to think it was pretty bad until I used it for a week, but now it's like a really reliable Pokemon. But I got that reliability out of it from using Booster Energy Speed, giving it one of the best Tailwind setters, or making it one of the best Tailwind setters in the game because of how fast it is. Because keep in mind, a lot of Roaring Moons are running the Booster Energy attack set. So you're outspeeding Roaring Moons. You're outspeeding Meowscaradas. You're outspeeding Iron Bundles. And when you outspeed Iron Bundle, if they're running a Life Orb or if they're just not running Focus Sash, you're one-shotting them with Hurricane. Many of the Pokemon in this list of Pokemon don't like dealing with Iron Jugulus. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so now that I've covered all that, let's just talk about tournament results. As far as tournament results, we see Roaring Moon with a Booster Energy. Let's just like scroll through like the top 16 teams here and pick out all of the Pokemon that are like Paradox Pokemon and point out why they're not running the item. This one, Focus Sash Iron Bundle. There is no Booster Energy to excuse the lack of a Booster Energy on Iron Bundle. It just wants to run Focus Sash because that's the best item on it. We take a look at, this is actually one of the best examples, Marco Fierro with the, what's it called, Great Tusk team. You would think, okay, well, Great Tusk can run Booster Energy, right? No, you run the Life Orb because it's just so much better on it, because you get that consistency of the Booster Energy Life Orb boost with just being able to switch. Great Tusk isn't a Pokemon that wants to stay in versus things like Fluttermane or things like even Iron Bundle. Like it doesn't like those Pokemon. Being able to switch out into the Golden Go, Palmot, Tatsugiri, Dondozo, all those help it out so much. So yeah, having that Life Orb consistency, super nice. Let's try to find another one. Here's another set of Pokemon where we see Iron Bundle and Roaring Moon. Let's guess which one of them has the booster energy. That's right, it's Roaring Moon because it's such a good item on it. And let's just choose one more. Let's choose one from like the random. Let's go with like 16th place. Okay, well that one's just gonna be like Assault Vest, right? I don't really like it. Yeah, it's Assault Vest because it's like the best item on it. Where is like an off meta pick? Oh, I know. Where's the guy that not top cut, but like top 16 with my team? Here he is. Okay, this is a team that I made. We have Iron Thorns and Roaring Moon. Obviously, Roaring Moon wants to run the booster energy. Iron Thorns, even this like off meta Pokemon, doesn't want to run booster energy. It wants to run loaded dice because it gets so much more reward out of that item. It allows it to get almost max damage on Rock Blast every time and almost max damage on Pin Missile every time. And even if it wasn't running the loaded dice, like I said, just a general attack boosting item goes so much further than the booster energy. So yeah, that's just like the point of this video. I wanted to talk about how like I see booster energy activate on Iron Hands sometimes. I see it activate on Iron Bundle sometimes, and I see it activate on even like, I don't know, I've seen like booster energy, what's it called? Iron Treads once. And maybe that isn't the worst set because Iron Treads is actually fairly fast, but it just seems like a lot of people don't understand that the booster energy item is not the best in terms of like attacking. It's good for speed, and certain Pokemon can get away with the attack stat. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video or learned anything new, let me know by just leaving a like, commenting down below, and just letting me know what you think about like the booster energy item in the comment section. And I will see you guys in the next one. I'm very tired. I started to drift towards the end of this video. All right, have a nice one, guys. Bye.